Test, test, test. Test 1, 2.
they still outside? I'd like to ask all legislators to please take your seats. I'm going to call this meeting of the legislature to order. I would ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing afterwards for a moment of silence. I'd like to have a moment of silence for the two NYPD officers who were ambushed in Harlem on Friday night. Officer Jason Rivera, 22 years old. Officer Wilbert Mora, who's 27. Officer Rivera passed away. Officer Mora is, as we sit here, fighting for his life. So I'd ask that we all keep them and their families in our thoughts and prayers in the coming days. Thank you. Mike, could you call the roll, please?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Deputy Presiding Officer Howard Copel. Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Denise Ford.
Here.
Legislator Sela Bino. Legislator Carrier Salage.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Deborah Muley. Legislator C. William Gaylor III. Legislator John Giuffre.
Here.
Legislator Mazi Melissa Philippe. Legislator Delia DeRigi Witten. Legislator James Kennedy. Legislator Thomas McKevitt.
Here.
Legislator Laura Schaefer. Legislator John Ferretti. Legislator Arnold Drucker. Thank you. Legislator Rosemarie Walker. Legislator Joshua Lafazan. Legislator Stephen Rhodes. Minority Leader Kavan Abrahams.
Here.
Thank you. Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello. We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We are honored today to be recognizing our top cops, and today we have a presentation by the Detectives Association, and I'd like to invite up President John Wighouse, as well as Commissioner Ryder and
Thank you to Presiding Officer Nicolello, Minority Leader Abrahams, the full legislative body, for your support of law enforcement, and also for recognizing the 2 NYPD officers who were ambushed on Friday night. They are in our prayers as well, so thank you for recognizing them. Today we have Detectives Michael Shreve, Dakota Clark from the 5th Squad, Joe Albergo from Gang Unit, and Bobby Resigno from Electronic Squad. On October 25th at approximately 11:30 p.m., 5th Precinct Patrol units were dispatched to a house in Lakeview for a call of a suspicious and unusual occurrence. The 911 caller witnessed a disturbing video on Snapchat where a man was being tortured. The victim of this assault was shown on video being kicked multiple times and attacked by a pit bull. The injuries depicted in this post showed that the victim's health status was getting progressively worse. At the end of this 3-minute video, the victim is observed unconscious, with shallow breathing, bound, naked, and covered in his own blood. The 911 caller did not know the name of the person who posted this video. She only knew him as Danny from Hempstead. The 911 caller provided this video and Snapchat screen name to 5th Squad detectives Michael Shreve and Dakota Clark. These detectives conducted multiple checks and conferred with Gang Squad detectives, Joe Albergo. A short time later, Detective Shreve and Clark were able to determine that Danny from Hempstead was in fact Danny Harrell. Mr. Harrell is known as a Crip member from Hempstead. Due to this, Gang Squad Detective Joe Albergo joined the investigation, and these 3 detectives worked side by side in search of this victim and the subjects. These detectives coordinated the search of multiple locations from Hempstead to Uniondale to Long Beach. Assisting in these numerous searches were detectives from the 1st Squad, 3rd Squad, and Hempstead Police Department. Detective Bob Resigno from Electronic Squad responded and coordinated the digital forensic search for this subject. Detective Serigno was in constant communication with Snapchat and was able to obtain the possible location of this subject as being in a large apartment building located in Schenectady, New York. With this information, these detectives contacted the Schenectady Police Department and advised them as to the events of this heinous act. The Schenectady Police Department immediately responded to this apartment building and conducted a large-scale search, going door to door and utilizing critical information provided by these detectives to locate the apartment where this assault had transpired. Schenectady police officers were able to gain entry into this apartment and rescued the victim, who was found inside of a closet, still bound, naked, and near death. This victim was immediately transported to a local hospital where he was in critical condition. The attending physician stated that if this victim wasn't found when he would have succumbed to his injuries. Due to the swift action of these 4 detectives from 3 separate detective squads in Nassau County, the life of this victim was saved and 3 evil individuals were arrested. The following contraband was recovered by Schenectady PD from this apartment: 2 illegal handguns, and a large quantity of fentanyl, heroin, and crack cocaine. 2 of these subjects were from Hempstead, and 1 subject is from Uniondale. They were charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, criminal possession of a weapon, and possession of controlled substance. Thank you for recognizing these detectives today.
So first, I'd like to thank you for that moment of silence for the officers that are in New York City and the entire NYPD. We are all one family. We bleed the same. We go out there and we do the battles every day. This past weekend alone, we took 5 guns off the streets in Nassau County. 5. Good to the work of our Narcotics Bureau, our CERT, COPE, Aviation was involved, K-9. There were foot chases involved. Officers were injured. That's just one weekend in Nassau County. These residents that you just heard that did this horrific act lived in Nassau County. These are the people that sometimes get mixed up in our communities, our good communities. And we go out there and we find them and we weed through to find out who they are and take them out of that environment so the environment gets healthier. 39 years doing this, I have never, ever in my life seen a video like I had to watch with this act. And what this poor man was done is basically fed to the pit bull. And the pit bull going after him, ripping his flesh from his body. It was the hardest thing I ever had to watch. My detectives had to watch it over and over and over again to figure out who they are. Our specialty in our technology in Electronics Bureau had to step in. Our gang members had to step in. They worked together as a team to take these individuals out, to get them out of the environment so we can have our healthy environment here. This is a thing that goes on every single day, and you saw it in New York City this weekend. 5 guns off the streets. One of the officers was killed. He's 22 years old. My son is 22 years old. Just started at the police department. It starts you thinking. We have to do more for the respect of our law enforcement. I thank every one of you, both sides of the aisle, who always respect law enforcement in this county, and will continue to do that forward while we all along respected our communities. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys for the award and thank you for the continuing support of law enforcement from the Ledge. Thank you.
Deputy Presiding Officer Coppell.
So while I'm not in my district and this precinct don't coincide, we're very close. And it's very comforting to know that we have such vigilant and actually smart people working to protect us. It's quite remarkable that you're able to take something like a video and ultimately figure out that somebody else is being harmed in Schenectady. I mean, that's just an amazing and astonishing thing. We're also, I guess, lucky. We're lucky, of course, that some evildoers are dumb enough to post things online. We're lucky that we have citizens here in Nassau who, having seen that, alerted the police. That's a terrific thing, but as I say, I'm just astonished that you were able to figure this out and ultimately save this man's life. I congratulate you, and on behalf of everyone, I think I'm sure on behalf of everyone, we thank you. We thank you and appreciate all that you do for us, not only this time, but every day.
Yeah, I would just add to that, I think Howard hit the nail on the head, though. I mean, the fact that you were able to take a Snapchat video and then through detective work, to incredible detective work, connected to a victim and perpetrators in Schenectady is truly extraordinary. And to do it in a fashion and a timeliness that you're able to save the man's life, I mean, we're very proud of you. It's a wonderful job you've done. Anyone else? Will be good. Legislator Bino.
Good afternoon. I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. This is extraordinary police work done by an extraordinary police department. I thank you all for your service. I mean, you did not give up on the trail. You kept going. And even when it took you outside of your jurisdiction, you kept going. And so for that, I say thank you for your tenacity and your perseverance. You saved this man's life, and you may have saved countless lives by not making sure that those criminals who were from Nassau County up in Schenectady will be incarcerated, and they'll have to pay the fine and pay for justice for this young man that they harmed. Sounds like horrifically. When I read this account, it was horrible to see that they would take a dog and sick it on this person like that, and without any regard for human life. So thank you for all that you do, what you did in this situation, and what you do every day.
Legislator Schaefer.
I also echo the sentiments of all my colleagues, and this may sound silly in light of everything, but what happened to the dog in that situation? Do they remove a dog that's been, or no?
I think they put it down, but they actually had taken DNA from the victim from the dog's mouth that day. They tested it and actually found it, so dog was actually a big part of the case.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
We'd like to invite you up here. We have presentations for each of you. right, we are going to the public comment portion of our meeting, and first speaker is Claudia Barecki.
Hello, everybody. I'm Claudia Barecki, co-director of LI Clean Air, Water, and Soil, also known as CAUSE. I gave copies of our letter, our December 1st letter to you, and it should be in front of you. I've been advocating for the establishment of a public authority to take over New York American Water's Long Island operations for over a decade. To that end, our state representatives passed legislation last June that established water authorities for both the North Shore and the town of Hempstead. The county legislature has now had over 6 months to prepare for appointments. We then pushed our new governor to sign the two bills, which she did on November 3rd. The new South Water Authority, South Nassau Water Authority, is to be governed by a board of directors consisting of 5 members, 3 members appointed by the town of Hempstead, 2 members appointed by the Nassau County Legislature. The board shall receive no compensation for their services. Last time the towns of Hempstead and Oyster Bay reestablished the Water Authority, they invited the public to go through a screening process. It took 9 months from the time when they made an announcement to when it made its appointments. The state this time made sure that the governing bodies would not be allowed to procrastinate. The South Nassau Water Authority will go into effect on February 1. I'm here today to urge the legislature to take immediate steps to appoint knowledgeable, capable, independent commissioners with varied financial, municipal, environmental, civic, and legal experience to the authority so that the Nassau County Water Authority is fully established by February 1, 2022, as ordered by the state. This is the county's last meeting in January, and we've yet to see appointments up for a vote, which means the Nassau County Legislature must appoint the water commissioners within the week in order for the Nassau County Water Authority to be established by February 1. As I'm sure you're aware, Liberty Utilities recently purchased New York American Water stock. CAUSE opposed such sale mainly because we believe the purchase price to be inflated, and we expect Liberty Utilities to want to make a profit on their investment if they sell it to the new authorities in the short term. As part of the settlement negotiations, CAUSE made sure that the Public Service Commission require Liberty or New York American Water New York American Water to negotiate in good faith with the new South Nassau Water Authority to acquire its Hempstead operations. We made sure that this was included with the hope that an agreement will be reached without having to go through eminent domain. As a specific time frame for municipalization is included in their sales agreement, it is imperative that the Nassau County Legislature and the town of Hempstead acts expeditiously in appointing commissioners to the South Nassau Water Authority. The South Nassau Water Authority will supply water to 114,000 customers, serving approximately 250,000 of your constituents. Oh, I have a few minutes left. I can read them off. The following legislators represent communities served by Liberty: Legislator Abrahams, Roosevelt; Legislator Bino, Lakeview; Legislator Saladas, Valley Stream, Inwood, Lawrence, and North Woodmere; Legislator Ford, Atlantic Beach, East Atlantic Beach.
Miss, your time has expired.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like I had a minute left. Okay.
There was a miscommunication. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I was just one question. What has been done so far to appoint the new water commissioners to the South Nassau Water Board?
Well, my understanding is that the legislation actually becomes effective on February 1st, and therefore appointments cannot be made until after February 1st.
Town of Hempstead are making their 3 appointments tomorrow.
All right. Well, then apparently they're jumping the gun, but that's fine.
So have you done anything to start even interviewing people?
Thank you, Ms. Barecki. We appreciate you being here.
Okay, that's my answer. Thank you.
Richard Collery.
To the members of the legislature, I would like to congratulate those that got voted in, even though I voted for the Democrats. With that being Democrat or Republican, I am here because I would like to see what your plan is to increase funding for the buses. You're concerned about getting people to stay on the island. You're worried about businesses failing, and also concerned about increasing tax revenue. Well, one major expense for any person is their car, whether it's gas for it, insurance, repairs, whatever. It adds up, especially when they have to buy their car now because of the pandemic, because of high prices. One way to cut this expense is dedicated funding for the buses, without matching funding from the state. Without matching funding, bus lines got cut, like the N50, N73, 74, etc. So please help everyone, not just the drivers, but everyone who can't drive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Pat Boyle?
Hi, how is everybody? My name is Pat Boyle. I work with Gateway Youth Outreach in Elmont, but I'm also here representing the Coalition of Youth Service Agencies. Two very quick things. One is welcome back everybody who was voted back into your seat. I look forward to working with you again. And also, too, welcome to the people who have been newly elected to the seats. Those are the people who we really do want to speak with, so that way we can get an opportunity to explain to you what youth programs in Nassau County are. They're not just bats and balls, like some people would think. We throw out a ball and say, go have fun. That's not what we're all about. We're here to be able to help and to be able to teach kids on many, many different levels, excuse me, as well as provide counseling for those youngsters, which is a very important component right now, because unfortunately we're starting to see a lot in the way of depression with regard to kids, a lot in the way of social issues, all due to the isolation that they've had to go through with COVID. And as you can imagine, if you are a parent, or if you remember having children if they were younger, parents are going a little bit on the bonkers side as well too, and that's not a technical term, but they're going a little bit crazy as well too, because it's tough. It's tough having kids around all day and not being in school and things of that nature. And that's already happened. It's just really starting to show itself in fruition now. So I do welcome you, and I especially welcome John Giuffieri, because he'll be representing part of the district that we're in, and I look forward to speaking with him. The second thing I just want to talk about a little bit was, let's think about what's going on as far as finances in the county go. You all know who've been here that youth services is kind of the bottom ladder in the funding chain, and now might be an opportunity to be able to do something about that. There are ARP monies out there, ARP is federal monies, that they promised to give us 20% of our regular contracts. We were supposed to receive that money in September. I think it's a little late. So one of the things that we'd like to do is to be able to work together. And I think the new administration is starting to go in the right direction with regard to this. But we'd like to be able to work together to be able to provide that funding for agencies. The main reason being that we had higher expenses because of COVID. When you do individual programs, it makes it that much more expensive. We can talk about these types of things when the time comes up, and my 6 seconds are left. So thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Mita Meraday. Mita, let me express our deepest condolences on the loss of your father. We are very sorry for your loss.
Thank you so much. On behalf of my family, I do accept your condolences, and I want to thank my legislator for her lovely card. But as they say, the work goes on, and as a Reverend Dr. Vernon Johns, who was the predecessor to Martin Luther King at Dexter Avenue Church in Montgomery, he said, if you see a good fight, get in it. So I'm going to continue to be in the fight, particularly for our veterans and for all who are underserved in this county. My concerns as we're going into the new year with the new administration, I want to actually say my hope as we go into a new year and a new administration, that we take a better look, a deeper dive, and actually get some action items in place as it pertains to our veteran support services. I've been asking with regard to a review of the particulars at the NUMC, the medical center, and the empty spaces that could be effectively utilized and better served for our veterans for a wide range of particular services. I note that there is an ordinance here as it pertains to hiring, our HEROES Act. I'm all for anything that is providing support services to our veterans, but just to exempt the fee for the civil service exam and not provide them with jobs, credible jobs, so that they can live in Nassau County, which continues to rank among the highest in property taxes in the country, is a disservice. There's a law that's still on the books with regard to service-disabled veteran businesses and contracting that still is gathering dust. So if we don't create those opportunities for veteran businesses, which provide 85% of the jobs for veterans, then what would be the point? You're just saying, okay, we're going to exempt you from taking a test, but we can't give you a job. That's why we still have such high levels of unemployment for our veterans and their families. You know, we have opportunities right here in this building. Public safety officers do a commendable job. They need to be supported. We have veterans among that contingent. That, again, is a resource. So we have to look where we are and do what we need to do. Also, transportation, which is an issue for people who live in Nassau County to get to certain jobs. Healthcare is becoming a problem with regard to COVID and the transportation and supports. We have more seniors actually who need assistance in the northern part of the county, and we have more workers who are viable in the southern part of the county. But we have a piss poor, and I mean piss poor, transportation modality that goes north and south. We need to address that. There's federal and state funds that are available. Newsday just reported that Nassau County lags behind in the number of grants that it could possibly receive in state and federal funds. That's a problem. I'm hoping that we can address that. I'm also looking at where were the changes with regard to the Minority Business Affairs Office. There's some individuals that I haven't heard anything about. I'm curious as to where they were, because for them to lose a job in a position where they were not given any resources, we have a problem. Again, I was the one that distributed the Lift Every Voice lyrics for everyone. I hope you all get a chance to read it, to actually look it over and understand it, because Black History is not just a month. It's 365 days a year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mita. Kevin Ryan. Kevin McKenna.
Good afternoon, Kevin McKenna, Nassau County resident. I've provided a copy to the clerk for the record, and I've also provided it to the authorities. Only 7 out of 19 Nassau County legislators voted to award a massive $122 million no-bid contract to Motorola in December of 2020, with the other 12 legislators not even voting. 7 out of 19 legislators is not a majority, so Nassau County taxpayers have 2 questions. How do 12 legislators avoid voting for a $122 million no-bid contract, and how does a $122 million contract become a no-bid contract? I will tell you, I will tell the Nassau County residents how. Motorola would have to be, quote, the only entity qualified to provide the services to allow just seven legislators in the Rules Committee to vote on the $122 million contract and to allow that the $122 million contract become a no-bid contract. Who determines if Motorola is, quote, the only entity qualified to provide the services? Well, NYFA did, so I submitted a FOIL request to NYFA. I received a 2-page document from NYFA General Counsel Jeremy Wise. It states, it was to the NYFA directors from Evan Cohen. Evan Cohen is NYFA's executive director. This document from Evan Cohen falsely states that Motorola is, quote, the only entity qualified to provide the services. And I provided you all a copy of that. How do I know that Motorola is not, quote, the only entity qualified to provide the services? Well, I simply emailed Motorola's chief competitor, L3 Harris, and its representative, Natalie Chow, replied, and I quote, it was completely sole sourced to Motorola. There wasn't an opportunity for competitive bid process with other vendors. I provided you all a copy of that email. If Nassau County never solicited bid proposals, how can NYFA Executive Director Evan Cohen know if Motorola is, quote, the only entity qualified to provide services? Getting back to the legislature, I wanted to know which 7 legislators voted and who voted yes. So I submitted a FOIL request to the legislator clerk, Christopher Limone, and emailed me back a response telling me the 7 legislators that voted. I'm going to skip over the names in light of time. I provided you all with a copy of this email from Limone. I then emailed NYFA General Counsel Jeremy Wise a request for the contract approval request form for this $122 million contract. Jeremy Wise refused to provide that to me, writing, unquote, it's not available under FOIL. I provided you all with that. I replied to this email, and he refused to comment any further. And what is unbelievable is that NYFA General Counsel Jeremy Wise, once he realized the questions I was asking, he had me blocked from sending emails to him and all the NYFA individuals. I strongly suggest that you take a look at the fraud that was purported on Nassau County and all of you that voted on this by NYFA Director Jeremy Wise. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, first item is ordinance number 1 of 2022. It's an ordinance to be known as the Hiring Our Heroes Act, amending Section 6 of ordinance number 180 of 2016 to exempt active duty and military veterans from the payment of civil service examination fees. That is moved by Legislator Lafazan and seconded by Legislator Gaylor. So that's before us. Does anyone want to say a few words? Go ahead. Oh, good. Okay. All right. All right. So, okay. Any public comment?
Mita J. Maraday. First of all, I also wanted to add my condolences to NYPD and the families of those officers. That is something that we have to definitely focus on, and they have to focus on. And again, also coming from a family of police officers and other first responders, and being a first responder myself with 9/11, too often we have to have these types of scenarios, but we have to focus also on addressing the needs in these communities involving housing and homelessness and things of this nature. Again, I support anything that provides opportunities and access and takes away any obstacles for our heroes, our veterans. But again, I challenge this legislature that you really have to blow the dust off of the many initiatives that are in place that have not been implemented to benefit the veterans in this community. Nassau and Suffolk combined have the largest veteran population in the Northeast Corridor. But we have, as far as the results and the focus, even though we have a very hardworking and committed team in Nassau County Veteran Services, they continue to need resources and bodies and just those supplies and a location that befits the work that they do. I don't know how many of you, and including the new members on this body, have actually toured their space and the amount of work that they do within that space, but I challenge you to look at what is taking place and what is not happening that's resulting in so many actions and the despair that's impacting many of our veterans and those in service, our war widows. We have a lot of work that needs to be done, and this is 2022. I really have other things that I myself could be doing as opposed to coming here and challenging you at every opportunity to step outside of the comfort zone. I'm tired of Nassau County just being known for cronyism, corruption, nepotism, and patronage. We've got to get on board with addressing the homelessness, the hopelessness that's impacting our veteran community and the taxpayers and the residents that are here. So I'm in support of this, but this is not it. And it can't be this is the first step and we have to have a starting point. No, we've been out of the gate long enough. Thank you.
Legislator Gaylor?
Yeah, I just want to, first of all, thank each and every one of the legislators who do support this bill, and I believe it's unanimous support. Any action we can do to support a veteran is an action that I'm going to always vote for. Whether somebody deems it significant or insignificant, I don't care, okay? We're doing something and we're moving forward to help veterans. So we're going to keep doing the little things. We'll do the big things. More may be able to be done, and it will be done as the issues arise. But, you know, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth and bad mouth because someone doesn't think it's significant. Like I said, this is meaningful legislation, well thought of. I appreciate the efforts of my colleague on the other side, Josh Lafazan, for bringing this before us so that we could work with it, make it even better. But that's how democracy works. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep moving the little issues. We're going to move the big issues. We're going to do what we got to do to take care of our veterans in Nassau County. So I appreciate each legislator's support for this bill. Thank you.
Legislator Gaylord, I did not badmouth that. If you heard what I said, I did not badmouth it, so I don't want anything attributed to me that I did not say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure it's correct for the record.
Okay.
But we need to do more big things. Thank
you. Any other legislators? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, it passes unanimously. Item 2, Resolution 1 of 2022. It's a resolution to amend Resolution number 119, 2021, establishing a special legislative task force to combat anti-Semitism. Item is moved by Legislator Mazi Philip, seconded by Legislator Arnie Drucker. I know that some legislators want to speak to this, but why don't we go through the procedures and set it up fully before we do that. So we need a motion to establish an emergency on this. So moved by Legislator Walker, seconded by Legislator Philip. All in favor of establishing an emergency signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, carries unanimously. So the emergency has been established. Now we need a motion to amend, which will allow the county executive or his designee to be a member of the task force, a voting member, as opposed to ex officio. So that is moved by Legislator Giuffre, seconded by Legislator Lafazan. Any debate or discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. 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 Okay, passes unanimously. So now the item is amended is before us. I know, Legislator Drucker, you wanted to speak.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I am gratified by the unanimous bipartisan support that this legislature has played in the imminent formation of the Special Task Force to combat anti-Semitism. The task force is about to embark upon its crucial mission, and quite frankly, we do not have a moment to spare. When I introduced this legislation back in June of 2021 to create the task force, I cited an alarming and frighteningly persistent increase in anti-Semitic incidents in recent years. Based on recent events in our region and across the nation, it is clear that it has not abated. For example, on January 22nd, there was an arrest of a woman who days before verbally attacked and spat upon 3 children in Brooklyn, ages 8, 7, and 2, and yelled in sum and substance that Hitler should have killed you all. Or the adoption agency in Tennessee that, according to recent reports in the New York Times, refused to allow them to adopt a child because they are Jewish. And the shock of a horrific hostage incident at Congregation Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas, last week still weighs heavily upon my heart. The congregation was attacked by a gunman who took the synagogue's rabbi and 3 worshipers as hostages. While we were all profoundly grateful and relieved that the 4 hostages were released safely, we were haunted by yet another attack on Jewish people practicing their faith in America. Through the work of Nassau's Special Legislative Task Force to combat anti-Semitism, we have an opportunity to fearlessly confront that question and devise solutions that will help Jews in Nassau County worship in peace and live without fearing for their family's safety. Now is the time to come together as one Nassau County to pave the way to a brighter, more inclusive future and send a clear message that we will never be silent when confronted with hatred of any kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other legislators?
I would like.
Okay.
Yes. First, I would like to thank all of my colleagues for not only recognizing the seriousness of anti-Semitism, but also for their commitment to put together a concrete proposal how to fight this kind of hate. I'm looking forward to work with the task force, and talking about the problem is a great start, but this is the time to do something about this. This is people's issue, and I'm happy that all my colleagues are with me with this. Thank you.
Any other legislators? Hearing none, all in favor of the item as amended, signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, carries unanimously. Motion to adjourn. Legislator Ferretti, seconded by Legislator DeReggie Witt. What? We passed the emergency. Yeah. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, carries unanimously. We have a Rules Committee coming up next. Legislators Giuffre and Philip, don't get used to this. Mike, might call the Rules Committee?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Rules Committee roll call. Legislator Sheila Bino, Legislator Delia DeReggie Witten, Ranking Member Kavan Abrahams.
Here.
Thank you. Legislator Laura Schaefer, Legislator Steve Rhodes, Vice Chairman Howard Copel, Chairman Richard Nicolello. We have a quorum, sir.
We have one item on the Rules Committee's Clerk Item 23 of 2022. It's a local law related to the readjustment or alteration of Nassau County legislative districts subsequent to the decennial federal census of 2020. Moved by Deputy Presiding Officer Copel, seconded by Legislator Rhodes. Let me just say a few words of what we're doing here. The Nassau County Charter requires that the boundaries of the 19 legislative districts be redrawn every 10 years. The Charter provides for a procedure for accomplishing that. Now, this redistricting occurs, again, every 10 years after the census is released. Last year, because of COVID, the census was not released until later than usual. It was released on August 12, 2021. So for this initial step in the redistricting process, has to be done within 6 months, so that means we have a deadline of February 12th. The 6-month deadline is provided by Section 112 of the County Government Law. This local law merely restates the existing legislative district boundaries. This is more of a procedural step to start the process. These lines will never be used again. They were the lines that we have run on since 2013, but after this step, they will not be used in the next election. There's another procedure that follows in which lays out the lines that will actually be used. Again, what we're doing today for these lines, those lines will never be used to elect legislators. We are following precedent today. This is exactly what the Democratic majority did. I think it was done on a bipartisan basis back in 2002. Again, this is being done pursuant to 112 of the County Government Law. The next steps are governed by Sections 113 and 114 of the County Government Law, and they set forth the process for the actual redistricting of the legislature, including the establishment of a temporary district advisory committee, which will be charged with holding hearings throughout this county. So again, that's what we're doing today. Does anyone other legislator want to speak onto the issue? Okay. Any public comment?
Yes, Mita J. Meriday. I do appreciate you kind of outlining that, but it was a lot to kind of take in. So I just want to be clear that there will be some additional outreach and information to the community with regard to what's taking place and the rationale behind it, as far as the steps that they are involved in terms of meetings.
Yes, 100%. This is more of just a procedural step because of the way the charter was written. So again, we're just reaffirming the existing lines. Once that's done, then the commission gets formed. The commission has hearings throughout the county, and then the process unfolds. But this, again, these lines that we're talking about today, no one's ever going to run under these lines again.
Okay, but these current lines, this is not going to be something that's going to impact possibly making changes that could impact, say, state and federal elections coming down the road?
No, it has nothing to do with the state and federal. This is just the county legislature.
Okay.
And by law, these lines would have to be changed under any circumstances.
And the committee is going to follow pretty much the same guidelines as they did previously with regard to representation from both sides and outreach to the community?
Yeah, actually those requirements are in the charter itself.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comment, Mr. McKenna?
This is the Rules Committee. I just want to make one statement. Kevin McKenna, Nassau County taxpayer.
Yep.
To the Rules Committee, I want you all to know that all 5 NYFA individuals, their term expired years ago. They are not even legally, officially, NYFA people. Their terms expired. You should be aware of that.
All right. That's not germane, but those appointments are not made by this body. But anyway, any further debate or discussion on the item? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Carries unanimously. A motion to adjourn by Legislator Rhodes, seconded by Legislator DeRidge Whitten. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye.